YouTube, back with another video. I want to go over this topic. Healing is not for everyone, so let's get into it. Now, what do I mean by this, right? Um, Having consciousness and being aware is it comes to the simple fact of starting to understand that there's people who have already chosen their path, and there's some people who want to go down a healing type of journey, a healing type of path. And there's some people who don't want to. And having consciousness is the ability to examine these things and examine that these uh, these simple facts exist. Um, I remember, like years ago, I had this thought in my head. Um, I remember thinking it, and I was like, what if people chose to go to hell, or they choose to go to hell? And I started to have this thought pattern about that there are some people who feel comfortable in being in hell. I believe that there's some people who are more comfortable having more dysfunctional thought processes. Um, they're more comfortable in being in those types of environments, where there are people who are more comfortable with just being in more of a more calming, more organized, more structured based um, type of mindset or place. Um, I started to come up with these thought processes that we choose whether we want to go to hell or heaven. Now, when I talk about hell and heaven, these are just constructs and metaphors um, of the mindset of what we choose. And I started to think in a way of that there are people who choose a certain lifestyle because ultimately they benefit from it, or they live a more strategic lifestyle, or their mindset is more geared towards a certain way. Um, I think a lot of times in our life, we like to look at life as this good and bad type of situation. Um, but what if good and bad didn't exist and people were just what they were? You get what I'm saying? People were just what they were. There are some people who are quote unquote a little bit more rough around the edges. They're more corrupted in their strategic strategies. There are people who are more Zen like in their strategies and want to help people or want to get together. Now, when you see how life works in the system of life, how it works, we kind of need all different types of people. We kind of need all different types of people to work things out. And sometimes, as much as I'm on this healing journey, or I enjoy being on this healing journey and learning new things, I think also a part of learning and healing and gaining consciousness is the simple fact that there comes to a point where you start to realize that there are people who um, are never going to be healed. They don't want to be healed. Um, and they don't want to hear what you have to say. Um, and I think that's from also understanding my darker side as well. Um, I think there's people on this earth that are here for all different types of reasons. You know, That's why I truly believe, I think the more consciousness you have, it's you start to realize how much options you have and the choices you have. And you start to realize that there's no real choice, but the choices of what you pick and where you see yourself heading for your ultimate goal here on earth. You know, um, I think healing, when you get to the journey of healing, they talk about that you have, different lifetimes, and there's different, you have different life paths. And I think healing is the ultimate journey, but I don't think it is the set journey. You get what I'm saying? I think there's people who, are here to play all different types of characters. There's people here that plays corrupt people. There's people who are here that play, jokers. There's people who are here that play serious type of characters. There's people here that play all different types of characters. Um, Ultimately to gain some type of, I would say, consciousness, right? Um, because there is consciousness in everything. Um, and as I've played with these different themes or these different characters, even in my own life, I have always learned, I've always gained some type of consciousness from the characters I've played. Um, and it's very interesting because um, when you play these characters in your mind, sometimes you get to a point of saying to yourself, is anybody really truly wrong? You know, is anybody really truly wrong?